What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Panda here. Today we are playing some Watcher of Realms. Today we're going to be looking at the Immortal Codex, specifically the Arbiter of Frost, the new Boreas fight. But also I want to check in on the other two bosses as well. So let's dive right into it. And welcome back, guys. So like I said, we are talking about the Immortal Codex. We are about halfway through, or almost, like we're making our way towards that halfway mark, and so I want to check in. I want to make sure that everyone has done their attempts. Remember, this is just a best attempt during the period that the boss is around, and I want to make sure everyone is kind of on the right track, making sure that they have everything in line. So let's take a look at where I currently am. We've made a little bit of additional progress since the last time I made an update video for the Immortal Codex, and we've also have the release of the new boss, the Boreas fight, on the right hand side, the Arbiter of Frost. So we're going to look in depth on that, and then we will probably make another video kind of going over just the overall ideas. But you can see here, real quick update, Conqueror, we have made it to top 3%. Wasteland Titan, we are top 4%. And the Arbiter of Frost, we are in the top 6%. The Arbiter of Frost is the one that I've made the most progression in, which I think is kind of obvious, right? Because it's the brand new fight, and the first time I did this fight, I was just using random stuff, which I actually don't even think you guys saw the first time I did this fight, because I did it off camera. So you actually didn't see how bad my first attempts were, but then I went ahead and I built up the champions. I took my own advice, and I waited to see what champions were the correct champions. And you'll see, it looks like Anai was actually one of the best champions to bring into this game mode. You'll see she is in almost every single one of these top fights, right? Anai, she's not in this one, but we've got Anai again here, an A5 Anai even, right? So lots of Anais in this top area. And then surprisingly, Nasalt, one of the recommendations that the game actually gave us, is actually one of the best champions in this game. If we actually go look, you'll see he's up there in damage, right? 73 million damage, doing more damage than Praetus, which is kind of surprising. Of course, Alistair is doing a ton of damage as well. And you'll see that I'm using a team comp pretty similar to a lot of these people. I do still need to do a little bit of work on my Cuke, of course. And of course, I don't have Soul Cadence and or Praetus. And I did do a few runs with Alistair, but I wasn't able to get as much damage out of Alistair as I would have liked. So we'll see what happens. But this is kind of the best run I was able to get, which I feel pretty good about. I would like to try and push a little higher if I can. Because we're pretty far away from A+, right? We're 122k away from A+, so I don't quite think we're going to be able to make it there, specifically because the champions that I'm using, like Anai, for example, are just not max skilled, right? And I'm not sure I want to invest my skill stones into them. Because, I don't know, at this state of the game, we don't really know which bosses are going to be around every time, right? So, for example, Conqueror has been here every single time, but Wasteland Titan hasn't been, right? Wasteland Titan got replaced this last time around with the tank boss, right? And then we have the Arbiter of Frost, who's taken the place of the Zealous fight. So we don't really know what is going to be happening come the next Immortal Codexes, so I'm not really wanting to invest super heavily into specific champions when it comes to things such as the skill stones in particular, right? Skill dust, I have invested, right? You'll see that I did invest the skill dust to get to the point where we were at skill stones, and I believe I did the same here. Or actually, no, I didn't do the same here because I wasn't sure if he was going to really fit the play style that I was trying to go for. But we did use Eloin in our original run, and of course we do have some stuff going on here with our Cuke. So there's a lot of progression that we can still make, but I am pretty satisfied with the progression that we've been able to make so far. You can see here that an Assault did the majority of my damage, which is kind of surprising that an Assault was actually doing more damage than my Zillatu, for example. Very weird. But I also, at the same time, I don't know. It feels like, I'm missing some key things, and there's a couple reasons that I think that could be. So, for example, if we go and we look at this, right, basic attack has a chance of inflicting burning on the target, and the hero deals 15% more damage to targets inflicted with burning, right? But then we have things like this. So the skill cost, right? We're missing 100 reduction in skill cost on the ultimate, which is a pretty big thing, especially since this gives 4 stacks of burning immediately, and it continuously refreshes burning inflicted by this hero. So that's kind of a big deal. Then we come down here and we're missing rage regen and trigger chance, right? So we're missing 0.2% rage and 3% chance, which isn't a major deal, but definitely could be a big deal, right? In getting the ultimate up. Then we come here over to Searing Gaze, and we're missing an extra 1% attack for the burning. So not a major thing, but definitely could be a big deal. Then we come over here to the Awakens, and there is potential where Magic Res Reduction is helpful. And of course, going down here and getting more of the damaging things on an eye. And kind of the same thing over here with Alistair, right? We're missing a ton of stuff, particularly the trigger chance, right, for the Radiant Erosion basic attack passive here. Also having the damage reduction on the target, right, so we take less damage. So yeah, it's difficult. It's kind of like a rough situation where I really want to invest in these champions, but I don't know how long this fight is going to be the active fight. And so I'm being a little hesitant until I can really get a feel for, or we get an announcement for the actual, this fight's going to be around this time, and then it's going to swap to this fight. So I'm kind of laying low a little bit when it comes to the activation. So we've gained a ton in Conqueror and Wasteland Titan and the other zones, and I think that that's primarily because the champions that I'm using here are champions that make sense in other locations, right? So because of that, it's not a crazy thing to invest in some of these champions, right? Same thing here with Wasteland Titan, right? I am using Eloin everywhere. I'm using Hollow everywhere. I use Vortex and Midon in various places. Gwen gets used in places. So it's not like a huge sink, right, to invest in these champions because I'm using them in other locations. But coming over here, Anai I don't use anywhere else. Cuke I don't use anywhere else. Nasalt I don't use anywhere else. Alistair I use, but barely use in my Gear Raid 1. And really, I probably don't even need to use him in my Gear Raid 1 anymore. So it's kind of like it's weird. It's weird, right? That's kind of the point I'm trying to make here, is that it is weird to invest in some of these champions until we really know, what exactly is coming our way. But I am happy with the progress that we made. My first attempt got me into the top 45%. And then I went and I built up Nasalt, and I built up my Cuke, and I was able to push up here to top 6%, which felt pretty good. Felt pretty good overall. So I'm definitely not mad about that. Now, there is a couple things that I wanted to look at here. So we have our Anai, and I think that there is definitely some changes that could be made to make these champions a little bit stronger when it comes to their damage output, or their uptime on their burning, or whatever the case is. But I did see most people were running Anai and Assault in Soulbound Arcana damage sets, and so I went ahead and I did that. I took this set from Boreas, and my Hot Soot and a couple other things, and I put them in those sets. So you'll see Anai here is in this set, which isn't great, but isn't really bad either. We come down to my Assault, I actually swapped my Assault gear back over to Hex, so he's using my Hex gear, and does a good chunk of damage for sure. So there is definitely some stuff there, which I'm really excited about. And then my Cuke is just in a pure attack speed set, just to get as much uptime on the poisons. I wasn't sure if it was best to actually progress him because of this poison trap, right? Because it lowers the uptime on the poison from the basic, because he has to actually use that. But I went ahead and did it because I saw a lot of the people at the top were using a fully promoted. We haven't fully promoted him yet, but we are going to get that done beforehand. I doubt it will make too much of a difference, but it may make some of a difference. So overall, though, I'm pretty happy with the progress that we were able to make in the Immortal Codex. I would like to try and squeeze out a top 5% in the Arbiter of Frost, which I do think is possible with a little bit more work. We may end up investing some skill stones into champions. I do know if I happen to get any more epic skill stones, that those will be going into an assault, because I don't really have many epics that still need to be skilled up, right? If I go through... And I wish I could look by just, by just rarity, like only look at all of my epics, for example. But we can at least do it like this, and we can go, if we click skills, right, we can go and you'll see all of these are maxed, right? All of them are maxed. If we come here, I got the ultimate max, which was really big, but we are missing like this, which I think is a big deal, right? Toxic fire duration, which could be really, really good for damage. And then we also have this for extra damage. So I got the important thing, which is getting the ultimate maxed, which I think is really, really, really good, because it gives him a really good uptime on his ultimate, and a lot of damage during his ultimate, which is really nice. But overall, I do, of course, want to get him, at least get this maxed. I think this could be very, very good. But overall, I am satisfied with where we are. Again, if I can find a way to get my Immortal Codex to that, the Arbiter Frost in the Immortal Codex up to that top 5%, that would be even better. But I'm pretty satisfied with where we are currently. So guys, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys have been able to make it across in the Conqueror, the Titan, and the Arbiter of Frost. And also let me know if you want a more specific breakdown of each of my teams here. I am going to be making one final push in at least every one of these, and I will probably do a video on those as I go through, because we have gotten some additional changes. I have some extra thoughts. For example, in the Conqueror, I am thinking about potentially swapping out Vladov for someone like a Wrath, or a Torador. There is some changes that I think are potentially better, that I have been thinking about. I've gotten some comments on it from my YouTube videos that I've made in the past about using Wrath or Torador or something like that as an AoE champion. So we're going to look into it. We'll see how it goes. Let me know in the comment section down below if you have any ideas of awesome comps, what you guys have been running. Let me know. And also, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to see all my content in the future. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.